It's all about rear-wheel drive V8 muscle in the new Chevrolet Corvette C6 Roadster.
You really got to hold on tight and the fun really begins.
Meet Tanner Foust. Between regularly competing in drift racing, performance rallying, plus stunt driving, Tanner's right at home behind the wheel of a car.
Hi, I'm Tanner Foust and welcome to Auto Access. Today we are living the American dream. It's a beautiful day here and we have a Corvette. It has an LS2 6-liter V8 that boasts 400 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque. The folks over at Chevrolet are convinced that this version of America's favorite sports car is the best one ever. Let's go find out if they're right.
First introduced in 1953, the Chevrolet Corvette has gone through many design changes in the last 50-plus years. This 6th generation C6 continues the refined styling direction started by the C5 and packs even more of a horsepower punch under the hood.
There's some new developments with the C6 that are pretty obvious. The LS2 motor is one of the biggest changes from the C5, adding that additional 50 horsepower and 0.3 liters. Also, this is the first Corvette since somewhere in the 1960s that has had headlights that were fixed. And that was due in large part for aerodynamic reasons for the racing version of the C6 and also to save some weight. But under the skin, there are huge changes. In fact, 70% of the part numbers on the C6 are not shared with its predecessor. These include things like suspension parts and 85% of the body panels. It really is a totally different car. Interestingly enough, it's largely derived from the C5R, or the racing version of the C5. So all of that racing experience Chevrolet has been toying with over the last few years is really starting to pay off.
That race engineering pays off big in the Roadster's handling. Although it's a drop top, the car's chassis is stiff, and the C6 is almost happiest when you push the gas pedal to the floor.
When you really start to push the C6 hard, you start to feel a little bit more of its character. At first, it's kind of soft feeling. It feels like things have been dampened quite a bit. Softer sidewalls on the tires, a little softer bushings. It kind of feels like a comfortable ride. But once you really start to arc it through some of these turns hard, it comes to life. The exhaust in the Roadster is just a sweet sound. The front end just seems to have endless amounts of grip as it bites in, chewing for traction out of these front tires. And it really makes it fun. The harder you drive, really, the more fun it is to drive. The gear shift linkage is much tighter this year. It actually feels good going through the gears. It still has that second and third lockout, however. So if you're too gentle going from first to second, it locks out second and third and goes straight into fourth gear. It's one of the ways that the car avoids the gas guzzler tax, which is nice. But one thing I don't like about driving this car, unfortunately, is the steering just kind of feels slow. The rest of the car is so good, it's unfortunate that there's kind of this weak link. It's a little bit biased towards on-center field or stability down in a straight line. And when you compare it against some of the cars that this thing has the capability of going against, like a Ferrari 360 and Porsche 911, the rate of the actual steering is just too slow. When you're really curving through the turns, you just have to turn the steering wheel so much more than you think you should, and it unfairly makes this car feel a little bit heavy.
And if your right foot gets too heavy, a host of electronic aids will come to the rescue.
The traction control in the C6 has multiple settings. It's pretty complicated stuff. And there's a guy with Chevrolet that has the lucky job to test this system and calibrate it. He spends 6 months out of the year out on the track. Nice job he's got. Well, the multiple settings range from having everything on, that includes traction control and a stability control system to help you save the skids, to having traction control off, but still maintaining that stability control function. Third, we've got a competitive setting where it actually raises the thresholds of everything. It allows a little bit of wheel spin, and it allows you to carve around the turns on the track more effectively while still having that catcher's mitt of a stability control system in the background. And lastly, of course, we can shut everything down by holding the button down for about 10 seconds. We can shut traction control and stability control completely off. And that's where you really got to hold on tight and the fun really begins.
Adding to your enjoyment is a vastly improved cabin with good quality leather and less plastic feeling interior, addressing one of the many criticisms leveled at previous models.
Before driving this car, I kind of had some preconceived notions about the Corvette. You know, in the mid-'80s, it seemed like the guys that drove this car were always coming out of their second or third marriage, and they were on the prowl for their next ex-wife. And the car just seemed a little bit cheesy. It seemed like it had some performance capabilities, maybe big horsepower number, but really didn't have the complete performance package. I think that really changed when the C5 came out and Corvette established that 50-50 weight distribution. By putting the transaxle in the back, it made a huge performance gain in its ability to actually corner now and accelerate. With the C6, you combine that with braking, you combine that with some of the other weaknesses that you may have found in previous Corvettes, like interior quality, build quality, feel, and now this is really starting to become the total performance package for the money out there on the market today.
The 2005 Corvette C6 convertible is base priced at $51,445. With features like the power roof, navigation, and a Z51 performance package, as tested price for our C6 is $62,805.
Before the debut of the new C6, there was no question that the modern Corvette was an extremely fast and powerful machine, but it was always lacking in fit and finish. That's where the new C6 picks up the slack. There's much more of a complete package here. We've got, of course, the power and the handling that we've come to expect from a Corvette. We've got a much more crisp styling cue coming from the exterior styling of the car, and even on the inside environment, a much better materials used than in previous Corvettes out there. It really lends itself to providing a driving experience that's much more refined, without ever letting you forget that you're driving an American muscle car. For Auto Access, I'm Tanner Foust. Thanks for watching.